Right, hey guys, how we doing? Back with another video from Annie News. It's been a while. I was a bit worried maybe I stopped doing these, but we are on another cut content video for Overlord, Season 4. 3. 4. Yeah, Season 4 of cut content, Episode 11. Now this was the one where Ainz fought that Dragon Lord dude, and I was just like, whoa, this is sick, but he still, like, couldn't take Ainz down. But then it turned out to be Pandora's actor. I was like, what the hell? And there was so much going on, and like mentions of NPCs and the players and that, and then the guy in the red costume was that. Let's see what let's see what was missed out. It was Season 4, isn't it, that we were watching? Yeah, it is. My brain just turns off completely sometimes.
It's not often that we get to see Ainz fight in battle, but
Mate, it was so cool.
There's always a greater purpose for it. In this particular case with Platinum Dragon Lord, every move was explicitly made in the hopes of gathering more information. You see, as an opponent who possessed the greatest power Ainz had come across in the New World, extracting every bit of intelligence from him was of the utmost importance. So, as we look at the cut content for this epic fight of an episode, not only will you see the portions of the fight the anime skipped, but we'll also get a lot of explanation behind what Ainz was observing here. His unique approach to battle that highlights
the speech was interrupted.
Let's get started. Episode 50.
Jeez.
Well-prepared traps, covering only half of Chapter 4 of Volume 14.
Oh, because it's a fight, right?
Briefly got to see it. The army of 400,000 that was sent to intercept the Sorcerer Kingdom was all but annihilated in a matter of days.
Oh, yeah, I never saw that, yeah.
Force had left just about a week ago, but with Ainz's armies already outside the kingdom's capital, one could only assume that there were no survivors.
Well, yeah.
That being the case, the 8 fingers and the families who were joining them here could only hope the Sorcerer Kingdom would actually come to save them. There was an immense amount of stress knowing their only chance relied on the very people who were attacking them. So,
that must be quite stressful.
The place this group of 1,000 was subsequently taken to was a temporary refuge in which they would stay until their village was complete. There wasn't much in terms of accommodation.
Yeah, no, that guy that they brought with them got took away, didn't he?
Was much safer than anywhere else. Not only were there 4 golems to assist with any sort of task, but the undead protecting it ensured no monsters got in and no one.
Oh yeah, you sorted if you got them protecting you. Jesus Christ.
Most loyal and skillful members, at least for the 2 weeks until their village was ready. Fast forward now to the day of the siege, and that's when we get to a couple of the more exciting battles of Overlord. Albedo versus the Drop of Red, along with the much more captivating Ainz versus Platinum Dragon.
That was sick.
Before we get to those individual fights though, the powered suit had first attempted to eliminate Ainz by taking advantage of his weakness. But despite fire definitely being something he was vulnerable to, because the spell was neither buffed nor cast by a mage of his level, the damage done to him was practically 0.
Oh, so they're aware.
So, with the Drop of Red baiting Albedo away from Ainz, we can now take a look at the more intricate details of what made this fight so mundane to her. The core of which was decently portrayed in the anime, but definitely still missed a lot of the finer details.
Okay, go on.
So, starting with the initial retreat, Albedo's first thought was to disable his flight, but apparently doing so wasn't as easy as taking out his thrusters. As Ainz had told her prior, the 6 jets that seemed to propel him upward were actually nothing more than cosmetic features added to make the suit look cooler. It was a visual aspect that would make no changes even if removed or destroyed.
Okay.
How the suit was capable of flying then was simply through a magical enchantment similar to flying.
Oh.
Well, that wasn't entirely the exact way it worked, but the core point was that disabling its flight wouldn't be that easy.
Right, so no point in focusing on that.
Despite Albedo's natural flight not being fast enough to catch up to him, what she did have was a magic item that boosted her speed a bit. It was a tool that would allow her to catch up to the suit almost instantly. The reason she didn't use it right away, though, was because part of her job was to find out what this powered suit was capable of.
Yeah, they were just gauging them, weren't they?
Would do next. So, as it turned to pepper her with a spray from his heavy machine gun, there were numerous options she could have used to defend against it, but none were as useful as just letting the bullets strike her armor directly.
Bloody hell. That's how powerful they are, it's mad, isn't it?
How strong they were. Plus, even if she did hit the bullets back using her skills, the base damage plus the damage from her halberd, along with the additional bonus that came from deflecting a projectile, would likely prove fatal to anyone receiving it.
Jesus.
When the bullets didn't even hit her armor, though, Albedo became frustrated since the only thing she'd done was reveal one of her own abilities.
Oh.
No information was gained from her end, then the Drop of Red was shown how she was immune to physical projectiles like this. Just like how it was with all the other 4 Guardians, unless a projectile was enchanted with some form of magic,
They got a
the damage
barrier.
done by it would be completely nullified.
Damn.
It was an effect bestowed by an item she felt she should have unequipped before jumping into battle here. What annoyed Albedo even more after this was the drop of Red's futile attempt to beat her with instant death magic. You see, not only was it yet another attack she was completely immune to, but the very fact he believed it would work was an insult to her level of power. With level difference being a large factor determining the spell's success, just the notion that it could potentially work on her implied that his impression of her power was lower than what it should be. He also clearly didn't take into account the numerous other factors that help make spells like this more successful. In any case, it was after this that Albedo felt it was time to fulfill her role as Tyrant. It wasn't something she was particularly fond of, but part of the plan did require her to stay put and keep the armored suit busy. Something she felt she might as well try and get some use out of. So, since diplomacy wasn't really her strong point, Albedo decided to use this conversation as a means to practice it. She would use this banter to gain tips on how to converse with humans. Switching over to Ainz now, the first spell he made sure to cast on himself was the 10th tier buff, Body of Effulgent Barrel. Not only did this reduce the effectiveness of blunt attacks, but it also fully negated the first instance of bludgeoning damage after being cast. Thus the reason Ainz had taken no damage here, along with his intent for constantly recasting it. Normally he too would be immune to physical attacks like these, but because PDL's weapons were imbued with magic, that rendered his immunity negligible. The delay teleportation that was cast after was a simple spell that
we don't know the tier.
So, should someone try to teleport near Ainz after this was cast, then not only would Ainz be informed of the position they were trying to teleport to, but he would also learn how many people were teleporting with them.
Amazing.
It was a recon spell that granted him a brief moment to prepare himself for the oncoming attack. Now, once Platinum Dragonlord had revealed himself to Ainz, there was a few things that Ainz had immediately taken note of. Like, the metal of his build clearly shined like platinum, but the purpose of such a build remained an absolute mystery to him. Reason being that platinum was a metal that didn't carry with it any special magical effects. There was zero advantage to crafting items with it. So, considering the power this warrior seemed to possess, Ainz could only assume the platinum was a disguise. Whatever metal PDL's armor and weapons were made of could very well be cleverly hidden by a shiny coat of platinum. That or this was a brand new metal that simply looked like platinum. Regardless of the type of trick being implemented though, Ainz's main concern was his opponent's lack of emotion. You see, despite being hit with the high-level spell Explode Mine, PDL didn't express the sustainment of any damage. He simply stood firm without any reaction whatsoever, and that alone was enough to warrant quite a bit of caution. That being the case, the world isolation barrier PDL had erected quickly after immediately triggered all sorts of thoughts regarding how this spell could function. There was too little information.
Wow, there's a lot of questions that he needs answering now.
What Ainz could do instead, though, was formulate assumptions based on everything he'd seen so far. First was the fact this opponent knew he was a magic caster. If that was in fact true, then it was very likely the barrier created could block the effects of teleportation. Then, because PDL's opening move wasn't an immediate attempt to brainwash him, Ainz could assume with confidence that this wasn't the person who brainwashed Shelton.
Right, okay, yeah, that's clever. We're still looking for that person, Jesus.
Someone he could mess around with. As the person with the most extensive combat knowledge in all of Nasric, it didn't take long for Ainz to recognize he was fighting an expert. They may not have used techniques Ainz knew from Yggdrasil, but they were certainly refined in a way that showed their elevated prowess, making for a foe who posed an actual threat to him. That said, because Ainz's training had left him as an expert of his own, new techniques like this weren't beyond the realm of comprehension for him. All it took was a little analysis, and eventually the secrets behind it would become revealed to him. So, in order to buy himself time to do exactly that, Ainz accepted the fact that he was trapped, then began a conversation to see if he could get some clues, leading us to PDL's introduction as Riku Aganea. Since this
was a name he made up, wasn't it?
Demiurge nor Sivas had warned him about, Ainz immediately knew that he was giving a fake name. No person this powerful
he's
would
aware.
have been able to hide their identity for this long. So, operating under the assumption that that was in fact true, Ainz's next job was to figure out why. For what purpose did this mysterious warrior gain by using a fake name? Was it to mitigate the potency of curses that affected people through names, or perhaps simply out of an unnecessarily high level of caution? Whatever it was, the main job at hand was to discover the depths of this warrior's power. When Ainz had attempted to teleport away next, This wasn't intended to help him escape, but instead an intentional move to determine what this world isolation barrier was.
He is just checking that barrier out.
By simply bouncing into the wall this barrier formed, Ainz was able to verify the extent to which it hindered him. Sure, he couldn't teleport anywhere outside of it, but anywhere within still remained fair game to him. It was a vital piece of information that required almost nothing to figure out. So, while Ainz continued to limit test the confines of this barrier, the following attack from Riku had gone to confuse him a bit. You see, despite having just recast Body of Effulgent Barrel, the immunity that should have come from a fresh recast was completely bypassed to cause this knockback. Normally, when damage like this was cancelled out, so too would the effects that accompanied it. But because Ainz was still afflicted by knockback, he was once again exposed to a mystery he would have to figure out somehow. The next action that helped clue Ainz towards
He
what
really
was
wants
dealing
to
with
go
was
in
the
just knowing
impossible
everything, doesn't he,
somersault
man?
that helped him dodge the obsidian sword attack. It was an unorthodox move that not even he could pull off. Sure, flight would make it a bit easier, but to move one's body in a way that required no initial motion was downright impossible for anyone. So, as more things started to seem out of place, that's when Ainz began to realize he was dealing with a puppet. By looking at
So he's
Riku through
aware.
a lens like that, his unnatural movements began to make more and more sense to him. It was as if a giant hand was manipulating strings attached to this
because it's able to move in ways that a person's body can't actually move, right? Yeah. That's awesome. He's so clever.
From which Riku could control his weapons. The armor needed to stay within a certain proximity to them. Thus, the reason Riku didn't strike right away after Ainz's second teleportation. Now, this next part with the level 70 Doomlord was actually far more extensive than what we saw in the anime. Not only was the ensuing battle significantly longer, but the way Ainz and Riku approached this new element on the battlefield really highlighted their veterancy in combat. So, the first thing to note about this summon was the black mist surrounding its body.
Okay.
This was a form of negative energy that depleted its health. A penalty that came from being summoned with power beyond what its level should normally allow it to have. Since all Ainz needed was for it to tank though, that slightly negative aspect didn't really matter to him. What did was how Riku would plan to approach it. If Riku truly was an experienced warrior, then he would simply ignore this summon and go straight for Ainz. An approach that made Ainz wonder how the other four guardians would do it. Cocytus would likely just knock the monster into the summoner, then use their proximity to attack both at once.
There's so much! So much! Why do we not get to see all this clever stuff?
Her to charge right through, then perhaps even pull
They could have just made the whole episode just like Ainz versus like Platinum Dragon Lord.
Though, his unwavering charge forced Ainz to stay close to the Doomlord. You see, because Riku's specialty seemed to be close-range fighting, Ainz's best bet was to position himself in a way that would make the Doomlord always be in front of him.
Right.
Then, by using his magical link to telepathically give orders, Ainz simply informed it with what he was dealing with. He presented the Doomlord with all the knowledge it would need to handle this.
Whoa.
So, once that information
That
was
art
transmitted,
there.
the Doomlord immediately activated Ruinous Night, a skill that blanketed the area with a dark black mist. This did cause an increase to the Doomlord's health drain, but in return it also provided him with a boost to all his combat abilities. That and the nullification of any damage reduction that came from dealing with a higher level opponent. Plus, any undead that was within the black mist with him would also receive a buff that increased their resistance to anything light in faith or positive karma based. It was this multifaceted skill that really went to even the playing field. So, while Ainz observed the fight from a distance, he had also intervened through the occasional casting of his own spells. The first was the use of a healing spell. Negative Burst, which would apply negative energy to the Doomlord, as well as potentially inflict damage to Riku. When Riku had come out unscathed, though, Ainz's mind once again raced through where this immunity could have come from. The most plausible was the enchantment of his equipment.
He has so many questions over everything. I love it.
Now, the spell Ainz had gone to cast next was the stealth spell Perfect Unknowable. A spell that should have rendered him completely undetectable, but instead provided a false sense of security which led him to be hit. After Ainz had made sure he was completely invisible, his attempt to move away from the Doomlord's shadow was quickly met by an undodgeable attack from Riku's katana. But even with the katana piercing straight through his robes, Ainz's flawless defense to stab attacks rendered the damage useless.
Well, yeah, he's a skeleton.
To the Doomlord's shadow. That and confirm Riku had countermeasures against the unknowable. This wasn't entirely surprising, but determining exactly what they were was a little bit trickier. There was a whole plethora of options that allowed skilled players to counter stealth spells like this, and the information needed to narrow it down just wasn't available. So, as Ainz continued to hide behind his undead summon, it was rather clear he could win by just hiding in the back and casting high damage spells, but doing that wasn't what he was after. No. As the strongest enemy he had ever come across, Ainz was determined to figure out every move his opponent was capable of. Since he'd already been exposed to techniques he wasn't aware of, seeing the rest of them would prove invaluable when coming across other
Knowledge, man, he's still learning. Because what if other people have these
to
go forwards, yeah.
What made Ainz rather confused throughout the whole encounter, though, was the simplistic nature of Riku's style of attack. There were neither martial arts nor special skills being used here. Just a straightforward barrage of endless attacks. A consistent assault that didn't reveal too much. So, given that no ground was being made, Ainz decided to make the Doomlord a bit more aggressive. It had used the Black Mist to increase its speed and damage, but at the same time caused a dramatic increase to the rate itself.
Lots of health, right, okay.
So, while this improved Doomlord did manage to land a few scratches, it was only a few minutes before it finally
would have to go.
Its health
yeah.
force. What Ainz summoned next was a level 68 undead called Elemental Skull. A highly offensive focused type of summon that specialized in maximized versions of every type of elemental spell. Where this skull falls short, though, is through its extremely low resistance to physical attacks. One hit was likely all it took for Riku to destroy it, a weakness that forced Ainz to place himself in front of it. Now, despite the oddity of seeing a caster step up to the front, Riku wasn't the least bit worried about it. He simply continued his flurry of attacks, all while slightly adapting based on how Ainz was reacting to it. So, when Ainz remained unaffected by the hammer for the third time straight, Riku removed that weapon from the rotation, then continued his barrage with each of the other weapons. It was a relentless attack that Ainz could only parry 1 out of every 5 strikes of. Of course, he could have used Perfect Warrior to make things a bit more fair, but casting that would have required special equipment to go along with it. His only hope was to rely on the magic that he had available to him. But even after casting his strongest fire spell,
sounds cool.
Nova, Riku still persisted straight through it as if it was nothing. His health did go down with each subsequent cast from the Elemental Skull, but only the Acid Mist had a significant impact. Not only did it chunk much more of Riku's health, but it also damaged all the gear he was using too. Slowly but surely, Ainz was chipping away at the puppet he was up against. Now, the next observation that went to shock Ainz a bit was the unexpected knockback that came from parrying Riku's katana. You see, Ainz's staff was only supposed to trigger knockback through direct hits against a target's body. If it was to hit an opponent's weapon or shield, then this special effect wouldn't activate. So, for this knockback to trigger against Riku's katana, that meant the weapons and armor were all part of a single entity. It was the last piece of the puzzle Ainz needed to figure out what he was up against.
The weapons and armor are the same.
So, before his elemental spell could cast the 10th tier spell 7 Trumpeteers, Ainz instead threw his weapon aside and begged to talk, bringing us to the little monologue that finally exposed key information about who he was dealing with. There wasn't much before the fight recommenced, but Riku did mention an interesting line about some merciful mother making the same mistake.
Father's doing the mistakes. My father.
It was crucial information that Ainz wished Riku could expand upon further. Unfortunately, before that could happen, Ainz's attempts to get him to talk some more were only met by another barrage of attacks he was too slow to defend against, eventually forcing Ainz to abandon his summon completely. It was after seeing Ainz perform such an act of cowardice that Riku couldn't help but call Ainz out for being pathetic.
Whoa.
I suppose he found it disgraceful that Ainz would choose to leave his summon like that. Of course, that didn't really matter, since any caster who left themselves exposed like that were really nothing more than suicidal maniacs. There was no merit in staying behind and defending it. It was, after all, just there to assist in battle. So, after a few more spells that proved to be ineffective, Ainz would remain on the defensive until Albedo showed up, finally bringing us to the end of this epic battle for information. But yeah, that's pretty much
so much
from the episode. If you want some more Overlord, then feel free to check out my weekly streams covering the newest episodes.
Oh, cool.
You can also still get the Succubé apparel while it's available. But anyway, as always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this type of anime content, then you already know what to do. So, until next time.
Ciao. Or you could follow my TikTok page where I give like a 67 little brief overview of how awesome I feel each episode of Overlord is. Just search Pixel Party Pals. I always forget to plug that. And I also talk about One Piece chapters every week, and then other random stuff, and then I'm going through my Funko Pop collection. But that was a really cool video on everything that was cut out of the fight. So much was cut out. Like, you could have literally just took the Albedo stuff out, all the other things out, and just had it just one big fight. I love everything happens. He's like, right, questioning it and planning it, and just like, right, okay, why is he doing that? Why is he doing that? Oh, he has to be like, moving that way because it's just like, it's epic. We need to be inside Ainz's head more. But anyway, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video I upload, link in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month, so that helps support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that, and thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave comments down below. Let me know what I should watch because of future videos. And I'll see you guys next time.